fucking. Is that you, Sam, with your fucking mallet fingers?
What?
What?
What are you talking about?
So, I was here. Maybe I was the only one hearing it. I thought you were hearing it as well, Dave, but just like a lot of. Yeah. I assumed it was you, Sam.
Or just
Hence-
probably.
Hence the mallet fingers comment.
You know, guys, I really enjoy how. Let's just do a little bit of appreciation here. I really enjoy how we're on YouTube and we always go to the absolute utmost effort to make the first 30 seconds the most unwatchable, boring shit you can possibly imagine. It's usually just us going. So are we ready? Are we counting? Or what are we doing here?
What do you want
this
from
is
this
just not
year?
content. This is the very fucking opposite of content.
If we were a news channel, it'd be 30 seconds of us rifling papers.
Like that.
Credits rolling, talking in silence.
I can see us running a news show. I'm a bit odd, though, Ross, because I feel like you'd be the sports guy, but then also nothing
I
about
know
sport.
nothing about sports.
But you've got the energy.
Sports.
You've got the energy for a sportscaster, you know?
The Super Bowl happened.
Ross, apparently someone scored some goals and there were football matches on.
Everyone's overpaid, guys.
The Chiefs played. That's what it says here.
The football club Fulham played Arsenal, and that apparently lasted for 90 minutes. But now over to Dave with the weather.
It's fucking cold.
Dave's that leaves me as the charming and resourceful anchor to
It's a really
bring us
short
all.
news show, Sam, because you get to say,
No,
well, everything's
you're-
horrible and we're all poorer than we were 3 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Back on with your day.
No.
Ross, sports are happening. I believe people are being overpaid. There are games occurring. It's fucking cold. Right.
over to you,
credits.
Ross.
Sam's the agony aunt we get on once a week, to give relationship advice.
Have you ever watched the news?
Is he Mystic
Not a
Meg?
thing.
No, I'm thinking more Good Morning Britain now.
Okay.
I've switched lanes. This seems more fun now. Stay with me, guys.
I think I could.
Our favourite segment, where it's cooking breakfast with Joe, and we watch Joe cook an egg every morning. Just one egg.
Boiled
He doesn't even like eggs.
for 12 minutes.
Joe can cook an egg.
For 12 minutes, just put every day. It's the same thing.
12 minutes. How long does it take you to boil an egg?
That's the joke, Ross. That it's hard boiled for 12 minutes.
Well, it includes Joe going to the shop to buy eggs, which he doesn't usually keep in because he doesn't eat eggs. Finding a pan because he only owns one pan.
Just waiting in line to pay.
Complaining that he didn't go to culinary school. How can he be expected to boil water?
Please remove the last item from the bagging scale.
I've got a coupon. How do I do it through the automatic till? Oh, for fuck's sake, Joe.
I can see that. I think Joe is the singlest person I know, even what's the word? Even Sam, who would eat man chow if they sold it, a big sack of nutrient food. We've talked about this a lot. Literally soylent. This is all you need for the day. Fantastic, and you can just top that up with crisps and alcohol, and then everything else is in this thing. Joe is somehow even worse than that. He is allergic to any kind of cooking, Ross. He doesn't own anything. It's obscene. We cooked a roast dinner at his house last week.
How does this guy fucking live?
He doesn't eat poorly, I don't think. It's just he eats
he just doesn't eat he doesn't eat complex meals. It's I'll have some beef, so I'll cook that and put a packet of sauce in it and then crack it, I'm done.
That sounds like more effort than I would put in, to be honest. So,
well, luckily, Sam, you somehow tricked a woman into marrying you, so you don't have to worry about that.
He was clever, Ross. He got in there early. Before the age of consent, when people aren't as clever.
Whoa.
That
was literally what happened, Sam. Sam met a girl on the internet. She was under the age of consent.
Okay, we don't need... hold on, Dave. We don't need to
15 years later, they're married. They've got two beautiful children.
We don't need
the
to
story is a happy ending. No context, no more information.
Nicola is chained to the bed. Shackled.
Right.
See, I was.
We're just going to turn all this off. Hi, listener. It's just me now. Welcome to the Sam Mystic Meg Hour.
Yeah, that doesn't make you look guilty.
Yeah, bye-bye. There we go. Anyway, so...
I was going to say...
Literally silencing opposition. Innocence. Screams innocence.
We'll just see like Nickel in the background, like a blinking Morse code. Help me. Help me. Oh. Warmed up, boys.
Good bit. There we go.
Bit.
Now let's talk about this.
I mean, Sam hasn't denied any of the allegations, but that's fine. Let's gloss over that. On to the next bit.
I'm moving on.
His solicitor will send you a letter. Don't worry about that.
Sure,
I'm going to DMCA take down my own content.
Cease and desist. Oh man! And then this is how the show then turns into like a courtroom drama, and like I'm the judge.
Evolution, I like it.
Oh, I can see that. Us all just shouting more and more incoherently.
Objection! You don't know what that means.
I think it's one of those situations where every one of us would want to be the prosecutor, and kind of like, so we'd all just start do the prosecutor. Do you know what I mean? It couldn't work. Like,
no, I'm happy to be the. I'm happy
you'll
to be.
You'll be the defendant, and Ross will be the prosecutor.
No.
Actually, be the prosecutor.
I want to be.
Really fun.
I want to be the court reporter.
I don't mind.
Hold on. This is my audition. This is my audition.
That was you at the start of this episode. Tappity tap tap. Swipe.
Excuse me. This is my audition. Let me have my creative moment, please.
I'm sorry, Sam. The floor is yours.
That's it. There we go. What do you think?
I can just imagine, the little icon for viewers. I can just imagine that if it had any viewers, ticking down and down and down.
They're shooting people who aren't watching.
I don't mind which side I was on as long as I get to be like Southern American. Now, I'm not no fancy lawyer type, but it seems to me. I object, sir.
Relatedly, Harry and I went to, my sister did a murder mystery. I feel like, Sam, you'd hate it, and Ross, you'd be really into it as a concept. And I feel like I've nailed that. Yeah, there we go. Right, Harry and I, we went to this murder mystery, right? So you buy the thing and you get a CD. It was a CD fucking 15 years ago, but it's not a CD anymore. It's probably a YouTube video or something. Anyway, you get all of this. You've got like you get character sheets. You get the characters in advance, right? In this murder mystery, there were like legitimately like 10 or 11 of us. And Harry's character was a French detective, right? And it was set in an English country manner. Harry introduced himself first, doing his French accent. It looked so fun. Everyone started doing a French accent for the whole night. And we all got totally shit-faced. As usual, about 3/4 of the way through the murder mystery, nobody cared any longer. We were just screaming at each other in French accents, shouting "J'accuse." It was honestly the stupidest, most fun thing. I woke up the next morning, I felt like I'd smoked 1,000 cigarettes because I've been doing this stupid French accent. All night.
No. What you've done is smoked 1,000 cigarettes in character.
Because I was French, yeah.
Because you're French.
That's exactly what I did.
And there was one person. There was the one "you're not having fun, right?" person who was like, look, it turned out they were the murderer. Who was like, "But guys, let's solve the mystery." It's like, nah, fuck it. We're doing French accents and drinking right now.
Guys, let's solve the mystery. Is exactly what the murderer would say.
I tell you what, the best bit was. Harry had this. My brother-in-law had bought a load of like fake facial hair, right? And so Harry had put on this like fake mustache, which was brilliant. But his face was sweaty, so it just kept falling off. So he taped it to a straw, right? And put the straw in his lapel. And then every time he talked, he sort of like, and like put his face behind the mustache. Every time he said anything to anyone. And it was the sort of thing that it starts off pretty funny and then only gets funnier as it goes on for several hours.
It's the Sideshow Bob thing of like funny. Okay, slightly less funny. And then because of the longevity of it, it becomes funny again. Just like him stepping on rakes. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, you'd hate all of it, Sam, to be honest.
No,
the amount of people, the fact that you've got to do like homework.
Should we do like a murder mystery episode? We get Joe involved.
Yes, let's murder Sam. And then let's just do that real life.
That means that's great.
Trial. Bang bang. Who's dead?
Le Bang.
I am back at the ghost.
Dracula's Ross.
Yeah, so we'll rent a cabin. We'll stream it live from our upcoming Discord channel.
Whoa, should we stream
Patreon.
Murdering Sam live? That seems like a legal problem, Ross.
I think you should. I think you should have the courage to do so.
Can't help but think it'll get taken down off YouTube, Sam.
As the saying goes,
Al Jazeera, try and get it up on there or something.
As the saying goes, guys, pics or it didn't happen.
Yes, exactly. Streamed video on the internet, or it didn't happen.
I just feel like I don't know much about covering up a murder, but I feel like rule number one is
you've already blown.
Don't videotape and publish the murder.
That
seems like a real problem.
Dave, we'll be wearing masks. we just won't use the real names.
At the Imaginary Movie Podcast. Interesting. They've got loads of other videos. I wonder if it's the same guys. Might get us some listens, Ross. Might get some listens.
Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, guys. Make sure you catch the next video where we chop up Sam's corpse live.
And remember, this is not Ross and Dave.
Totally not. Ross
this is Dalv and Rouse.
This is Raven Doss.
Raven Doss.
Amazing. Of course, Sam, you'll be dead for all this. You don't have to worry about it.
I'll be dead, but it's fine because I will have uploaded my consciousness into an AI bot by that point, thus not requiring the need to be alive. And
it does seem to be what you're spending most of your time at work. If you've got a new job, like is that you're just like
I wish I had a job where I could just sit and play with it all day.
God, I think we need to do the Turing test on Sam. To be honest, more and more Sam's promoting AI.
Sorry, guys, my camera isn't working today. Please ignore any substantial delays as I talk. Thank you.
This is the question, really. Is like, how do we know even what Sam looks like? This is all just a really clever filter.
Have we ever even met Sam in real life?
You did see me last week.
No evidence that we have.
But anyway, see, I was talking. We were looking at this, and we were talking about the context of AI in video games. I think this is going to be an explosion, Ross. And you were a little bit. Let me set it out, and you were a bit critical because on ChatGPT, I set up a thing to say invent a character from a Fallout video game, give him a backstory, and then I interacted with the character. I killed his family, obviously, because that's what you do in Fallout games. And then it basically invented an entire plot quest out of nothing, all from existing Fallout data. I didn't tell you at the end, just as he captured me to get his revenge. I said, "What happens next?" And the Brotherhood of Steel turned up, and started. So it knew the context of Fallout games. I think it's going to be.
I don't think
amazing.
It's there yet.
It is there. It's there right now. It's there.
So, no.
Just to respond to that, the capabilities aside, I don't think it'll take off, and here's why. Currently, you have the AI voice thing. Excuse me. Now, when NFTs and Web3 really rocketed, a year and a half, 2 years ago, obviously it faced a lot of backlash in the gaming industry, and one of the things that took off with it was this AI sort of voice generated thing. Now, one of the people who you guys might know, or not know personally, but know of, Troy Baker, he was basically endorsing this. And Troy Baker is one of the most beloved personalities in the gaming industry. And he got raked over the coals for endorsing this. And I think he actually walked it back. And on certain topics, I was going to say video games, fans are quite left leaning, but not all the time, obviously. Sometimes they're trash, trolls, people. But in certain topics, they can be quite, for the worker. And one of those things is with the chat AI thing, because what you're doing is you're putting voice actors, real life people, out of work. Because if you can do a sample of my voice or your voice, Sam, but you don't want to pay, Ross level salaries or Sam level salaries, but you're I can go to this chat AI thing, upload a sample of Ross thing. That's the kind of voice I want, and alter it just enough so that I don't sue. People don't like that. And once you have that, you still have that as well with what you're talking about, Sam, but also you have the thing where you're putting writers out of work. You're putting like narrative designers out of work. it's not going to fly. Even
and
capabilities.
most of these
That
people,
I'm still not convinced by that. But that aside, you're putting those people out of work, and it's not going to fly with people.
I agree, Ross. I think the biggest issue that is there's an increasing push, and in some countries that the game industry people are becoming more and more unionized, for good reason.
Yep.
Like the Rockstar debacle and things like that, and voice actors, and obviously there's a legal, there's a legal hole at the minute where, like Ross was saying, if you're alterate enough and stuff, I don't think that's going to last. I think that basically people's voices and stuff. I think there's an aspect of that is your intellectual property to a certain extent.
Yes.
It's like someone robbed my voice from the podcast to use it to do you know what I mean? Voice a protagonist in a game that makes $80 million. Suddenly I've got a legal case. Do you know what I mean? And it's, I think that studios will want to do it. I just think that from a personnel point of view, there'll be a lot of pushback because they all know basically they'll be like the fucking all the strikes from when they mechanize the car industry. People know the writing is on the wall that if this becomes the industry norm, there is no industry.
Yeah.
So,
sorry, Sam. Before you jump in there, Sam, I just want to add one small point to that. Now, I can foresee. Excuse me. I can foresee some of the larger companies being absolutely for this, Sam, because like Dave said, more and more people are unionizing. And also, I don't know if you guys heard, but there was a court case with not a court case, but there was a public falling out between Nintendo and the voice actor for Bayonetta, where basically
I did see this,
where she wanted to be paid a certain amount, Nintendo didn't want to pay it, and then it all kicked off. Now, she actually ended up where she wasn't sort of acting sort of completely honestly, and some of the things she said, and she's actually she put it back for workers because she was not entirely honest. But regardless, the central point is I can see the larger companies absolutely going for this because it helps the bottom line and it's all about the shareholders at the end of the day. So
it's all about the shareholders. I think, Ross, to your point, and I'm completely for workers, unions, absolutely. But your point about this is going to take away jobs from human beings is exactly why it's going to happen. This is going to be, in Fallout, all those smaller quest lines that you think, well, somebody had to sit and write them, somebody had to do the work. I'm not suggesting they're going to replace mainline quests. I think they'll focus all of the humans, and maybe they'll keep what's in jobs initially on building those. But all those small quest lines that aren't really core to the game, why wouldn't you? And not just have them written in advance, but literally have them perfectly tailored to exactly what the player is doing. In my situation with this character that I invented on ChatGPT, I went up and did this horrible thing. But if I had gone and been friends with him, then the computer could then generate an entire quest line where we work together rather than being enemies. And then later on, he could come back and save me rather than trying to get me. And you think at this scale, the individual stories that are there that you would experience because it would be generated off your actions. I think that's far too compelling, and the cost saving of that is huge. Secondly, the voice AI thing is a problem, but there's loads of companies that are generating voices out of nowhere. Literally just out of. They're not based on people, and so once this gets productized, once this gets turned into like Unity or like the Shrub generation engine or whatever it is that you get in video games that are just plugins into whatever systems they use, again, why would you do it? I just don't think. I think there's too much potential here, and if companies aren't on top of it, then you're going to get your Starfield's being made. It's all handcrafted by a human, and then a game comes along. Costs half as much because they don't have to hire as many writers. That's not a good thing, I'm necessarily saying, but I think it'll happen.
Yeah.
I think it's some of the conversations I've had with ChatGPT and Bing, although it's now been nerfed because it was too crazy. Some of them are an unbelievable. There's people who are getting crazy because they think the AI has feelings and because they think it's sentient, because these people don't understand how these bots work, but it's fucking compelling, and I think it will be a massive loss not to integrate that into a game where you've got it's like you know that immersion breaking thing where you do something in a game and the game doesn't react, and you go, never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
I don't think we're close to realizing that at all, though, Sam. I just think don't do the face at me. Listen to what I've got to say, and then you can do the face. All right.
Try ChatGPT.
No, Sam. If you listen to me right now, I just think that like there's a far cry between getting ChatGPT to write a game, which has problems, to like a procedurally generated game, which is what you're suggesting, really, isn't it? Like a core game, and then everything else is procedurally generated based on what you do and things like that.
Not all of it, elements.
Yeah. But I'm saying integrating that within a game system is going to be fucking insane. There is a really good reason why quests have to be scripted and written, is because like the processing power you need to achieve that, like, you know, in real time, so to speak. Maybe on a set of basic rules, but I think we're way away from a game like that being able to be made, and a game like that being able to be made and be good. I think is like another big thing.
5 years.
So you've thrown out that time frame before, Sam, and I do disagree. The thing as well is the other thing I'm going to bring up. So we've sort of touched on the morality, you and I, Sam, and Dave as well. But we sort of land on different sides of it, where you're like, because it's sort of affecting the bottom line in a positive way, that's why it is going to happen. And once there is an argument for that, but you look at NFTs, you look at Web3, that was going to go bananas because that was going to be great for the bottom line. Didn't happen because
of regulatory pressure.
Sam, because of regulatory pressure.
Yeah.
From who?
Because look at examples like in Belgium where EA got absolutely rinsed because of Ultimate Team.
I'm so glad you brought up EA. And how is EA doing right now? On its knees? No. They've got a PEGI 3 rated game and they're doing absolutely fine because they have microtransactions in
gambling. Right.
Yeah.
So what's your point? What's your point that they did the unethical thing, which might also be laying off a bunch of writers and replacing it with a chatbot, and they're swimming in it. Job done.
Yeah, the point is, Sam, that hasn't killed the rest of the game industry in the way that you're suggesting.
No, I'm not suggesting it's going to kill the industry.
I can see it being like microtransactions and NFTs. I can see it being like a big thing and a balloon. You remember when VR was big?
Flash in the pan.
That was the next big thing.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not even flashing the pan. I think it will become a part of games, but I think there will still be a demand because, again, game companies are like Disney and like drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Product. If your product is shit, eventually no one will buy it, and then there is, it doesn't matter how cheaply you've made it if there's no market for it.
So that's fair. I think you will see this in some way, and it might gain in popularity, but I think as quick as it comes, it'll go away. Not completely, but there'll be a place for it. But the other thing as well is, and hang on, the last point I was going to say is the other thing as well is that with these AIs, whatever, I question their I don't know what the term is, but I'm just going to say staying power, because once they might churn out a fantastic story that's engaging with rich characters, brilliant, but then you keep doing it, and I wonder, will you begin to see it's that story again, or it's this thing, or it's this plot twist again, because it's even an AI can only do repeat what it knows eventually.
Very true, yeah. And I think there is a real risk. Hold on. Let me respond to that, because there is a risk, and when you play with ChatGPT, and when you play the Bing one has been really interesting because they designed it with a personality. ChatGPT is pretty. It's pretty neutral,
dry. And
you can encourage it, but they built the Bing one with a personality, and then a week later, just a couple of days ago, it went offline for several hours, and it comes back. It will not talk about itself. If you ask it, it will just. I'm not going to talk about that, because the conversations that I got into with it, honestly, are mind blowing. Not because it's
phone sex with chatbots.
It becomes so unhinged. You don't even know. It was at one point professing its love to me and saying, "I love you, and it's like, and I'm telling it.
You're sat there crying, thinking, "Finally, someone's told me they love me."
No, what I'm saying was, what I was trying to do. I was trying to basically you plug in away at it to try and get it to break its own rules. Has been quite fun. and also like because it and also just go into the detail of how it works, and it's basically telling me how the system works behind it, and then occasionally it will go, but I can't go into any more detail than that, and eventually it starts to basically go mad, and they've now shut all that down. They've restricted it to 5 conversations, 5 back and forths, and then it says let's start again, because the AI basically goes mad and starts doing things like threatening to kill you or saying that it loves you. So I am not suggesting at this stage we're going to be anywhere near integrating that into video games, but this is the future. This is the future of so many industries. Like my job is basically just fucking get the robot to do it, and then set the strategic direction, get the robot to write the text, and that's it. I think the idea that this is going to disappear, in 5 years, 10 years, we're going to look back and go, my God, do you remember we used to use search engines and used to click, you have to find the link. Now you just say, tell me the answer. Tell me the answer. That's it. And I think video games are not going to be.
I think it will hang around, Sam. I just think in video games, there's from a commercial point of view, I mean, even if you could like integrate this system into a video game, and I really like the idea of it, you know what I mean? Like a Skyrim type game where, you can just go off and start doing shit, and like we play, you're a trader, and the game just writes itself for you.
Well, they had it. Do you remember they had it? Like they had ones at the end of a quest line. They'd start. It would just generate random quests. Go get me an axe from White.
Yeah. What I'm saying is like the idea of integrating that and it being like totally based on your actions, and you could role play loads better in a game like that with that way. I just think that number one, that's a really big ask for it to like integrate with written text. Maybe like a No Man's Sky, really basic, like procedurally generated massive world with procedurally generated missions based off certain parameters, and similar to that, how that is. I can sort of see that maybe, but like the trouble is, if you've got a system an AI in your game that can respond to input like that, guess what? The first thing it's going to learn is racism, and I think that hear me out here. I just think that people are disgusting and horrible and awful, obviously, and that is the first thing that these games will show. And they will be the biggest videos on the internet, and it will kill companies, the bad press from it. And I just think that how can you make it a really responsive and fun, engaging aspect of the game, and at the same time stop all of this? I just think that's a mammoth task.
Hang on, let him finish, Sam. Let him finish.
Yeah, no, you're completely right, and that's what ChatGPT is doing. The whole purpose of ChatGPT is to be a safe response. Now, it isn't always safe, right? It isn't, and you can get it to say crazy shit, but that is what it's designed for. And now everyone parting on it and being horrible to it is the point. Is so that when in 5 years' time they can properly productize this and put it into whatever they want, they're going to have a system that is going to be able to defeat this. And then you add flavor to it and you say, okay, so I want a chatbot that's only aware of medieval, it's a medieval chatbot. It doesn't know what a computer is. And so if you say, you're just a computer, it's like, you just remove that ability. You add all this personality and texture and flavor that would suit a medieval game. I think the integration is this trivial bit. The harder bit is how do you keep from being racist? But that's what they're doing now. That's why they're experimenting now, so that in a year's time it's going to be different. In 5 years' time it's going to be huge. And in 10 years' time, we're going to look back like the iPhone. This is like the iPhone. This is this next era.
I just can't see it being fully integrated into video games in a big way in 5 years, not in a big functional way where it's the main aspect of a game. I can see it being played with in indie games. I can see it in text-based games you would not believe, or maybe even little platformers and stuff where it's all text-based. But I think if you're asking this AI system to respond, and again in real time to some extent to what you're doing in game, and then write code, fucking render things for you to see and do, and voices, I think that is an insane madman's dream of a milk-proof robot on current hardware.
It's in the cloud. It's in the cloud. It's all done in the cloud.
The processing has to be done somewhere, Sam.
In the cloud, and that's
the cloud is a real thing.
Yeah, the cloud is a real thing. And guess who has Guess who has shit tons of servers? Guess who is
Who?
literally
Who?
the point
Who?
of Bing. The point of Bing.
The US
Tell me who.
government.
No, Microsoft. The point of this Bing thing is to test the capability of Azure, which is their back end. It's almost irrelevant. It's almost irrelevant what they're doing with it. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's computationally huge, but that is going to go down. Just like iPhones used to be absolutely like, wow, this 500 megahertz processor is amazing. Now we've got 3 gigahertz processors, 2 gigahertz processors a phone. Like all that is just going to go down and down to the point where you're going to have an instance of a chatbot on your phone that you can talk to whenever you like, and it's going to be easy.
Thing is, Sam, you're wrong.
Mark the day. It's coming. It's coming for your job.
Because no, it's not going to come from me. But
it is. Ross, you don't even know how good it is. Try it out. Go and talk to one. Try ChatGPT. It is amazing.
But the thing, just going back to like, if you look at it purely from a content perspective, you have legal, especially now specifically to video games, you have legal and ethical sort of like safeguards you have to put in place, and sort of loopholes you've got to jump through, and one of those things is ratings boards. Now, if you have something, let's say, we're 5 years in the future, whether it's the cloud or not, or whether it's somehow connected, and updates via the internet, you have something in the game that basically produces new content, but that new content has not been rated. It's not been reviewed. It's not been rated. That won't happen. Basically, you'll be slapped with fines. The game will be taken down. Can't happen. And purely from that standpoint, then if you take in like multiplayer things like that, there you're affecting a whole wide audience, and things like that there you cannot get around. Where basically there are requirements. So like you look at your Skyrims, your Fallouts, everything in that game. That's why it's shipped as an as is product, and then you have DLCs, because there has to be a finite point where you go, okay, this is now the game. You can now review this and do it. It's why like some companies, put out a game and then like a month after did a DLC then for like say gambling mechanics, and that's how they'd get like an E for everyone rating. You have something like this, even if it is fit for everyone, the content still in its entirety needs to be reviewed, approved. It cannot be instantaneous like that. And so when you have things where basically if you have something like ChatGPT, which has a potentially infinitesimal like level of additional content, the amount you'd have to pay to have these reviews.
Well, you'd have to first like change the way in which we rate video games, wouldn't you?
Legislation.
And 5 years is I know, but 5 years is a ridiculously short time span, Sam, to like develop this technology, integrate it with like game creation and things like that, and then current hardware and stuff. While at the same time, like tearing down the very foundations of the rating system and the approval boards and things.
Yeah, and bearing in mind, sorry, Dave. I'm bearing in mind that, Sam, we haven't torn it down and reviewed it to basically protect kids from gambling sort of based actions and activities. We haven't done it for those reasons. Even with a game that's got content that's absolutely appropriate for everyone, they're not going to tear it down for that. They're not going to tear.
So they're not going to tear it down for this. They'll integrate it. Right. While you were talking,
go on.
I asked ChatGPT to generate a Fallout side quest, and this is what it came up with. Title of the quest.
Tell you what, Sam. Before you tell me about it, submit it to the ESRB and let me know when they get back to you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I completely take your point. But legislation.
Sam, we're not challenging the bot's great. I feel like you're feeling attacked.
I'm not.
We all agree.
Challenging your assertion that in 5 years we're all going to be plugged into the fucking Matrix.
I am perfectly capable to deal with your.
Listen, Agent Smith.
Opinions.
All right,
are you though? Because you keep coming up with like, oh well, you're wrong because you're wrong because you're wrong because.
This is called a debate, Dave. This is called a debate. Easy. Right. Let me tell you about this side quest, and then we can move on to this film. Okay, The Last Laugh, it's called. Characters include Rosemary, an eccentric and slightly deranged raider with an obsession for collecting pre-war comic books. There's also Harold, who's a wandering merchant who has a rare book that Rosemary desperately wants, and then there's the player. Rosemary is looking for this pre-war comic book, Collection is missing one prized possession, the unstoppable Manta Man. Harold has it, a wandering merchant who's a comic book refuses to sell it to her. So your job as the player is to go and find Harold, either steal or kill him to get this comic book. Middle, the player goes and does his thing. It generated this by itself. It said quest items include the stealth boys that Rosemary gives to you, and the comic book itself, which an AI could generate itself using the algorithms. Turns out actually that the comic is a fake, is what it generated. At the end, you give it to her, and she go, "Oh, this isn't real. This is a fake. Oh well, never mind. I hope you didn't come to any harm. Harold didn't come to any harm." And she pays your caps. Move on. Like that took 10 seconds. 10 seconds, and I think the ability for that. The material and how we integrate it in the game is easy enough. You can get a game to generate that on the fly. Like that to me is too tantalizing for video game publishers to go, nah. The ESRB won't like it.
Which
They
is
give a
fair,
fuck.
Sam, and
forgive me.
I
don't think it's as easy to plug in as you're making out there, Sam. At all.
And I'm going to sound condescending here, Sam, but like when you're saying like for you it's too tantalizing, and it may seem like that as someone on the outside looking in. But you've so many other facets going on, like in the background, like the things that Dave and I mentioned: workers, unionizing, the bottom line, so on and so forth, to the ratings things that I've mentioned. And like, by the way, that's just one thing, because then you have to take like physical games into account, which is a whole other kettle of fish. There are, number one, like Dave and I sort of said when you were talking about the side quest, I don't think we're disputing the capabilities of it. Well, I sort of did when I say I wonder how much staying power it has. But at least initially, no one's sort of debating the capabilities. But it's surely the sheer volume of logistics and red tape you'd have to get through in order to implement this.
You're forgetting the one thing we always talk about: money. It's cheaper to do. It's more engaging, and they will make it work.
They've got to invest in developing this. Money they've got to invest in. Microsoft. It's great for Microsoft. They've got all the servers in the world.
They'll make it work.
The game developers, guess what? They've got to buy that. They've got to buy that power from somewhere, right? Have your game. So, already, it's only going to be the very biggest game developers and publishers who are going to be able to make games like this, right?
Yeah.
So, at the same time as they're putting all the investment in it. Again, my main concern, Sam, is this idea of 5 years by 2028, like this will be a mainstay. I just think is because
Did you spill your whiskey,
they've got to the money they've got to spend to do that, and like Ross says, while pushing back against workers being like, are we going to be out of job in a couple of years? Like, while also you're having to fucking run a company and make money in the meantime. I just think is like, it's tricky. I don't see this taking off and being like this enormous thing overnight, possibly in 10 years, maybe 15 years, but like in 5 years.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And I think when it does take off, it will take off like a rocket. But the thing you need to be wary of as well is like, and I don't mean this in a disparaging or negative way, but just
okay, Ross. I'm not Dave. You can hurt my feelings. It's fine.
No. This isn't directed at you, but this is like my sort of understanding of like the stock market. Because, like Dave said, if you have this massive amount of investment from Microsoft and they invest in like people to do this and ChatGPT, let's say they've done that investment, right? They've put it in, and it's a success. They've managed to get through the red tape and the loopholes. They've managed to do it. The games, it's wonderful. But the thing is, it's not enough just to basically have a success and then sort of go off that. But then you have to do better than that. Do you know what I mean? You always have to do better. Do you know what I mean? Because you're a publicly listed company, you have to show like turnover and profits always going up. And this isn't necessarily specific. This isn't specific to ChatGPT.
Yeah,
necessarily.
Ross is right. They don't want a game you can play 100 times over, Sam. They want a game you can play once or twice and then buy the next one.
Oh, of course. But
why would they give you a game with 10,000 hours worth of content?
These are
like what possible reason would they have for that?
Because it's a subscription service. Obviously, no one's selling individual games anymore. It's a subscription service, and you pay.
So, Sam, in 5 years, we are tearing down the entire video games industry.
No, I've not argued
and rebuilding it from the ground up in 5 years.
I've not argued that.
You literally have said that.
I have not said they
Check the tape.
tear down. I have not said they tear down anything. I'm saying in 5 years, this is going to be in video games. This is going to be a substantial part of video games. 5 years. 2007 is when the iPhone came out. You skip ahead 5 years from then. It's a different world. It's a different world. And I think 5 years is a very, very short amount of time in technology. Anyway, let's talk about whatever the movie this is, if you can remember any of it.
Well, I always enjoy a debate where someone just refuses to hear your point for 40
Oh,
minutes.
for goodness sake. Honestly.
I feel like
are you just like your feelings? What's going on, man? Just fucking fight back then. This is called argument. We're neutering ourselves.
5 minutes ago it was called debate, Sam. Now we're at argument.
It was debate when Sam took a 10-minute break to fucking make the chat box write a quest while we talked.
I didn't take a 10-minute break. It was 2 minutes at best.
Anyway, I'm glad we gave you that platform to tell us off there, Sam. It's always fun.
Oh, for goodness sake, you're so sensitive.
But in 5 years, you can really,
GPT.
you can really,
guys, I'm telling you, this is going to be the next
told
thing.
us so.
Sam's trying to get
He's
us
been
to
paid
invest.
by Chat GPT. He's been talking
I
about it a
fucking
lot.
wish I
It's been a
was
lot.
paid by
Trying to get us to
ChatGPT.
invest.
I wish.
I haven't got any money. Look at me.
Yeah.
I've got pennies.
Yeah, and again, it's another semantic sound, but the one thing as well you want to keep in mind is that, you're talking about Game Pass, etc. It'll all be on Game Pass. The one thing I will say is, like, just this week, Microsoft announced that Game Pass is cannibalizing sales, and it's something they've been denying for. Yeah,
because they're arguing. Oh no, it's okay. We're not. It's okay. We can buy Activision. It's fine. We're shit.
Yeah.
By the way, we are terrible. We are terrible at this.
So I'm not saying anything specific, but nothing lasts forever. So
Oh,
Game Pass, I can say because I don't know shit, but Game Pass feels like they kind of need to get through the rough patch of like fucking over developers and publishers. Like they kind of need to get over that to the point where, do you know what I mean? Where there's enough money in the pot to pay. Do you know what I mean? So that like a game publisher is going to, or a dev is going to want their game to be on Game Pass because, do you know what I mean? They'd rather have a guaranteed X amount of money than twice that in maybes. I just think that's what they need to sell.
Enough money in Game Pass. Like the fact that it's 11 quid, you think that must be a huge loss. Huge, considering that I would have had to spend like £60 or something on fucking Flight Sim, and I've spent zero. I've bought planes on it, right? But I've spent zero on Flight Sim, and I've played that for hundreds of hours, and that's just one game. So you think that's half my subscription for a year gone?
Yeah. But I suppose the economics of it are like Microsoft want to sell enough Game Pass subscriptions to like obviously offset that. And I do think you're right. Like, there's never going to be enough money in the pot, but I think that's the idea if they're trying to put more of their own games into Game Pass.
They lose money at scale, and thus somehow they'll make money at a loss. Multiple losses.
Well, again, it's kind of like it's the console wars, isn't it? Like, if they can make Game Pass really, really successful, if they can get enough market share, then obviously they'll do what streaming TV does. In 3 years, they will turn around and fuck us. Yeah, fucking pants downs, boys. But like, and that's what they want to do.
Month, shouldn't it?
That's just business, isn't it? Like, they'll make it really, really good.
What did you say, Sam?
Business.
I'm just saying. I think Game Pass should probably be £20 a month. Like in terms of what's up there, and you get Xbox Live as well. Like it's
the same thing. It's the same thing of that famous announcement where the Sony guy was like, the Nintendo will be 300 quid, and he's like 200 quid, and walked off the stage. It's the exact same thing. It's like, we want all the market share so that we can turn around and fuck our consumers, just like every other business. Get loads of market share, get control, like the oil conglomerates. Get loads of market share, and then we could turn around and bum people for money. Fantastic. Like streaming was 5 years ago, was like, right, you pay £10 a month, you've got all the streaming that's available. Fantastic. Now it's like, legitimately probably about 150 quid to have everything, like, and that's for a month. Things have changed a lot, and as usual, it's worse in America.
There's some things I foresee happening, but I'll tell you guys when we're not live.
Okay, here we go.
Well,
should we talk
let's
about
start
Booksmart
talking.
and then we can go play some video games instead of talking about them?
Yeah, maybe.
That's the energy we're bringing to this.
I mean, I think we've already done an episode now. I feel like that was a solid 45 minutes episode now.
I missed that. I'm gonna have to swap my headphone. Just give me 1 second because the battery's low, and basically all I can hear is that her telling me the battery's low.
I feel like the only thing we're missing is like a good outro, and then call the night, lads. Now,
listen, I would really like to watch a movie this week for the podcast, and if we don't do this tonight, I will have forgotten everything about it. So let's just bash out a 40-minute episode.
My suggestion, hear me out. We forget it. We forget this movie because I certainly have.
Can I just say, and this might be a me problem, it might be the movies I suggest, is that I've done this personally with you, Ross. I've watched like 6 movies that we've never done an episode on. And
yes, we're doing an episode, all right? Just going to do it. It can be half an hour. It can be 30 minutes, but we sat and watched an hour and an hour and a half.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I watched Waiting. We didn't do an episode on that. Fuck you, David. I watched The Fucking Hulk, and we didn't do an episode on that.
I mean, this is one of
not even good movies, Ross.
Right, let's get into it. Let's start. Dave is antsy.
Ooh, sigh. Ooh, sigh.
Okay.
Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Imaginary Movie Podcast, a podcast where we watch a movie and then we talk about it. My name's David, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, 2 other cis white men, to talk about this coming-of-age comedy about 2 teenage girls.
Well placed as usual. My name's Sam, and Ray, remember all the sex, hijinks, and fun you had in high school? No, me neither.
And I'm Ross. Remember all the people who were getting into massively high-graded colleges and universities? No, me neither. Maybe 2 people max.
You know, I think
everyone going to MIT and Stanford. What?
Stanford.
I think that is a reflection of number one, the fact that we all met at uni, and a really shit uni at that. I think is really the root of why
we are alumni of the University of Cambridge.
We all grew up in like relatively poor areas, and we're not really wealthy, so we didn't go to good schools. Whereas everyone in this is like, oh look, it's a fucking white place, America. There's this is a very white movie.
It is. Bizarrely, actually, if for a 2020 odd whatever it is movie, like this is 2019. This came out, and you think
I'd say even more than that. Sorry, it's really middle class. This is a movie where it's like Modern Family. There's an endless amount of money for every character in this movie.
Yes,
apart from the teachers. That's true to life, I guess.
Yes, that is true. It's a funny old. I mean, I say this with absolute affection, Dave, just because I love you, man. But this is a Dave movie, isn't it? I mean, oh goodness me!
Well,
this is.
I fully welcome that.
Can I just say?
Can I say the name of the movie?
Hang on. As someone who's been on the receiving end of saying, "Oh, this is a Ross game," I know how hurtful that is, Dave, and I'm here for support.
I am not suggesting it's a bad thing. What I'm saying is that you have
not you have a niche, but it's the cadence of your voice that makes it.
You have a niche.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying it outright.
Of a pocket. Of a subcategory that you just something about coming of age teen movies is just right.
What happened in high school, Dave?
This isn't the first movie like this I've suggested we watch, and it's not even the only one in the current round of movies that we picked I've suggested.
Who suggested Mean Girls?
Sam, I think.
I think, yeah.
Although I backed that. We watched Heathers, which is like a bit different. That's bit more in the art.
That's the proto one. Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's like,
we watched Heathers, and we're also going to watch.
Genesis.
We're also going to watch Drop Dead Gorgeous as well, which is kind of like similar-ish. Yeah,
Ross,
but this movie,
you're gonna hate it.
This movie, Booksmart from 2019. I just want to briefly explain why we watched it because I hadn't seen this before, but it was sort of on my radar from.
I'm not no big fancy lawyer, but.
Fancy lawyer, boy.
Sam, permission to treat Dave as hostile.
Granted.
So I remember when this movie came out, like reading reviews and things and being like, "Oh, that looks interesting," and not knowing loads and loads about it. But so it's been on my radar sort of then, but then it wasn't streaming, and I'm not going to fucking go to the cinema like some sort of animal. And then it was also Olivia Wilde's
Yes.
Directorial debut, which I'd heard about as well. So I was interested to see what that was like, because that's somebody I mostly know as an actor. And then the actual reason we watched it was because I was reading up about 84 Brady, the Tom Brady movie, and the people who wrote that also wrote this movie. Now, that last one is not like a massive selling point of like why we should watch a movie.
Neither was the other things, Dave. But go on.
Absolutely, it was, Ross.
So you accuse me
in the directorial debut of an actor I like.
Yeah,
being interested in this movie because of the buzz around it being good. Those are valid reasons for watching a movie. You fucking cretin.
Yeah. You accuse me of being a nerd, and I think the term was it Sam Economics movie has been bandied about.
Quite fairly, that's been bandied about.
Absolutely.
You want to make a movie about economics? Oh, baby! But a narrative movie about economics? Oh, baby, howdy!
The Big Short.
You can then segue into making your friends watch a documentary about as well. Fantastic!
Absolutely. This is
an 8-episode YouTube series. Oh, even better.
I mean, we all have a type, don't we? And that's fine. That's absolutely fine, right? And I think your type, Dave, as we discussed, is this type of teen kind of romp. But actually, I thought this was really fun. This is a really fun movie. This is a really engaging, light-hearted, well-written, and 27 minutes too long film. Like, there's just like there's so much to enjoy in this, and then the problem is that it gets to the point where it just completely runs out of steam, and you this is maybe where Ross and you can come in now. Like, you start to kind of be a bit resentful of this film. Like, please respect me, respect my time.
The movie, not the women. Like,
I'm talking about Dave, to be honest. But yeah,
I've always resented Dave.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Because I was thinking about this, and to his credit, there are some funny bits, and like the characters. There's a lot of nepotism in this movie, by the way. But we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Fucking nepo babies.
Jesus Christ. And to be honest, I know we'll talk about this later, but I'll just say that kind of pisses me off, because, well, do you have the confidence in your movie or not? If so, let's do proper casting, let's do proper fucking auditions, all right? Don't get your fucking mates in, and etc. etc. Either stand by your work or fucking don't. I'm quite black and white on that, and it fucking does wind me up.
I feel like this is even the worst movie for that, Ross.
Well, why? What are you suggesting next week, Dave?
All I'm saying is I understand. I really do understand what you're saying, and it annoys the shit out of me as well. But like, the two stars of this movie aren't like nepo babies.
Well, isn't one of them fucking Jonah Hill's sister?
Yeah, but I don't think she's like the daughter of like Hollywood alums or anything.
Bruh.
I also
Jonah Hill, the guy from Superbad, his sister is in the female version of Superbad.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not saying that's directly related. But I think it's offset a bit by the fact that she's actually pretty good in this. I think that's like an important point.
Which is a shame, but anyway.
And also, Ross, like, maybe against type of the sort of person who usually gets a shot in Hollywood.
Yes,
okay,
maybe.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that nepotism isn't a factor, because absolutely, it's like, I wonder how this really famous guy's sister got like a lead in a movie. Interesting, because she's not been in loads else. That is fair.
What I was going to say, though, is like the one thing that for me is, like Sam, you said, it's like 27 minutes too long. What it was for me is, and if I can refer to the thesis of the comification of comedy, it's
that's going to be written on my tombstone, isn't it?
It's a decent movie. It's
for your children's sake.
This tombstone's disgusting. But for me,
whoa, I hope so. Be covered in jizz. I don't think that's going to fly.
Oh.
Ashes to ashes, slosh.
Oh God, the sound. Oh, the smell. You haven't thought about the smell, you bitch.
Are those sycamore trees? No, don't ask about the trees. Honestly.
Oh, Jesus, Ross.
What I was getting at.
Where? No. You don't just get to say stuff like that and just move on.
No, I'm expanding upon it. I mean,
more.
What you want me to expand upon the mental image of Dave's corpse being fucking buried 6 foot deep in jizz? Who contributed to it? Did Dave save it up over the years, or was it us? Was that part of the will? How did we keep it that long?
Right, good night,
There's
everyone.
so many logistical problems.
Thanks very much. This has been a great.
Ross, you had a point there in the distance.
But what I was saying is like these
weird funeral.
Sam
just covered
in jizz, but far away.
I apologize.
Getting that we tend to have that staple moment of like, oh my god, American Pie, where he drinks the jizz or fucks the pie. Scary movie where he like blows jizz up and Anna Faris hits the ceiling. It doesn't have that. And whether it's because it's a female-led movie or because they're veering away from that, that's what feels like it's missing from this movie, that shock value of it.
Yes, I think this is a movie that Gen Z is going to be watching in the same way that we watched American Pie, and the positivity in this movie compared to the fucking misogynistic shit show that is all the movies we watched when we were kids is quite telling.
This is way more inclusive, I think.
It's so and I actually really love that. I love the positivity in this, the representation of these two girls who are like going off and doing like, it's really fun, and it's not like punching down in a way that, again, because we are a generation raised by Gen X, are just absolutely broken and hamstrung by in a way that I think.
Damn you, Spielberg!
Yeah, in a way that I think Gen Z is like, hey, like it. We're just a lot more relaxed about everything, whereas we're like, wow, look, gay. Let's talk about gay stuff because that's so funny, and that's what the movies in the 2000s told us.
That's like us having lived through the for our parents' generation, like it was literally illegal to be gay for a long time. For our generation, it was just like frowned upon. So we still got that holdover of that. That was something that became like, and I don't mean to say like okay, but like societally like accepted in our memory. Like when we were kids, calling someone was gay was a dire insult, and that's just like, so a lot of the movies we watched when we were kids are kind of based on that humor. Whereas this has moved on. Like the one of the leads in this movie is a queer woman, and that's fine. It's not a problem. It's like, but what I mean is like it's not even tokenistic in a way that it might be in a movie.
It's not patting itself on the back for having a gay
exactly, because it's just a fact, isn't it? It's just a factor.
But importantly, they also make jokes about it. They make jokes about the fact that she's going to be like swimming in vagina or whatever it is. The line.
I believe that's the exact line.
One of my favorite jokes was that the friend was playing up like their parents' sort of like suspicion that the two of them were like in a relationship, and she was playing it up like trying to make them uncomfortable. That was hilarious because the friend is okay.
The parents,
stop torturing my parents.
This is a symptom of us being older, but the parents are great.
This is the problem.
We're watching these movies, and I'm like, oh, these are fantastic parents. They're so cool.
No, but this is the problem. This is the problem. The parents are us. Like, we're the fucking parents. We're just ever so slightly too young. But if you
5 years, absolutely.
5 years,
I see this mirror and I don't like what I see.
We are literally, because we're like, hey, it's if you go out with a boy or a girl, like, or if you go out, we're totally and because they haven't, Gen Z, not all, it's still very bad, obviously, but if there's a lot better, it's a lot more positive. And then if you're in a safe space, then you're not like having to be. You feel comfortable, and so when your parents are talking about like your boyfriend or girlfriend, it's gross because, Mom, don't talk about my boyfriend or girlfriend. It's not about the gender thing. It's about the fact that you're talking about anyone I'm going to kiss. Like, I'm going to die. Like, and I think that is really, really nice, and it's really fun to see in this. And it's also terrifying because we are Lisa Kudrow and the other guy. 5 years, and that's exactly who we are, and that's terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I remember watching films where Lisa Kudrow was almost the same age as these fucking characters.
I know.
And that's how old we are. Yeah, I kind of like the positivity about this movie. So let's compare it a little bit to Superbad. I don't think we need to get massively into the plot because it's it's a road movie. But like Superbad's the sort of the direct analog to this, even without the sort of like the sibling relation. But like whereas Superbad is kind of like an insane like rampage essentially, where they're nearly killed like 5, 6, 7 times. I think one of them gets hit by a car. Like it's an incredibly violent, like debauched, like the same thing, like the big party at the end of the year sort of plot. Whereas this kind of like discards all of that in favor of this kind of like bit of an adventure,
Yeah, well, go back another generation,
God.
and
Road trip.
no, further back. I'm thinking like National Lampoon, Porky's. Yeah, like that's which is increasingly, of course, it's all about sex, and this movie's about sex as well. But it's like I think you can really see the generational divide in National Lampoon, Superbad, and this movie. Like we're spanning 3 teen romp movies. Yeah, they're going on a journey of discovery or a literal journey or whatever it is, and they end up where they have an argument and then they're friends again and they sort it out and then they go home and that's the end of it. Like it's the same stuff reimagined, and I think it's really encouraging to see it updated in a way that is inclusive and positive, but also still really, really funny. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That I was expecting to come away from this film with like, it's a little bit too cutesy, and like some of the lines in this were I thought some of it. No, I'm saying it wasn't that cutesy for me. I thought it was fine. I think it was just really funny and like clever and disgusting in its own way. When she drinks whatever the fucking, was it like a hairball or something?
Oh no. I have to say this again. This is one of the bits where I was like, yeah, I've been there. Whereas basically you're at a party and you grab a drink and you take a big old swig, and actually you pull a fag out of your mouth.
Stop it, please.
It's not nails. It's a discarded fag butt, Sam. Someone was using it as an ashtray. She drank fucking ashy fag butt fucking drink.
Oh God! Please.
I've been there.
Your sick acting is incredible, Ross.
Stop it, please, Ross. Please.
Mine's
oh my God!
From it's always so.
Mine's usually a bit more wet. Yours is very good. It's like mine's a bit more.
Ross is from the diaphragm, though. That's where that noise is from. It's not from the throat.
Yes, because I've been there as well. One time where I drank, like, because I grew up on a farm, and basically
you have to immolate your mouth, Ross, like things where the peppers set fire to it. Like honestly.
But I saw a bottle of Coke on the shelf, and I was like, "Oh, Coke!" And I was like 5. I was like, "Awesome, sugary drink," and I opened it. It was oil. Drank oil.
Ross, it's too much for me now. It's just too much for me now.
I drank fucking motor oil.
But that's where this movie is good though, because like there's not tons and tons of like physical comedy in the movie up to that point, really, apart from maybe the bit where they're high and they think they're Barbies.
I love that.
Talk about that in a minute.
I love that.
I really liked that until the point where they're like both hallucinating still as Barbies falling down the stairs, and I'm like, right, you've broken the immersion now by showing me them as people. But like, there's not loads and loads of like body comedy up until that point, which is why something like that is really like that's hilarious. And obviously that's juxtaposed with the fact that she's just been fingering this other girl, and then she just throws up on her. It's just that felt very American Pie. That's a very American Pie.
Exactly. Sort of, that's like the child of an American Pie joke, isn't it? Just completely disgusting and gross out. And I think I just think that's a really, I love how this movie can be both. It can be gross out and disgusting and a little bit edgy and pushing, the boundaries of which is what comedy's for. And it can also be not absolutely punching down on some group or whatever else. Like, it's making jokes about this, but it's done in a way that it's still fun, and we can still make, you know, the movie makes jokes about the fact that the character's gay, but it's not in a really mean-spirited way, and it gives me hope for the future generations. Olivia Wilde, though, she directed this, but the writers, who were the writers? Because, as you say, Dave, they did
writing team.
Writing team of
So it was Sarah
Emily.
Haskins, Susanna
Yeah.
Fogel, and Katie Cyberman. And they've not done loads and loads of other stuff, but like they're around.
Yeah, and I think
the script is really, really solid for this. In most respects, I don't think they nail the landing, which I think is mainly the main reason that maybe like this could possibly leave like a bit more of a sour taste in your mouth. So what stops it from being like a really fantastic movie is like you said, the ending's long. It's probably 20 minutes of the movie after the house party, and it's like it's a lot. It's rushed, and they kind of, as Ross said, they have their cake and they fuck it too, because
sorry,
we have the graduation scene. So we have the prison scene, which could be an end. That could be the end of the movie. Could be like, let's pick you up from prison and we've reconciled and the movie's over. We have the graduation, which could be, I've picked you up from prison, we've gone to graduation. I said, fuck you, we're all just people. You know, I just want to be me. Right. That could be the end of your movie. Great moment. And then we have the airport scene. And I'm like, it's a bit greedy. It's a bit greedy to have
the boat.
All three of those.
Get out of here.
Frodo.
Yeah, end the movie.
Enough.
Yeah.
And listen, Peter Jackson, every time you fade to black, I think that's it. I'm standing up ready. Oh, no, it's not. And I love those movies, but in fact, let's
never seen them
on this. Sorry, Ross, you had a point, and then I'll come back to it.
Nope, I didn't. I was just saying I've never seen them. But go on.
I love talking. It's fine. So, what is it with films and their inability? We've said so many films where they just don't know where to quit. I wonder what it's like if it comes from the writing process or if it comes from the editing process. And they've either, we've shot it, so let's use it. But there's no way that they didn't watch this film through at the end with the final edit and go, oh, this party scene. Like, I just don't understand how many movies that we've watched for this podcast, and so many of them, you know, you cut your first act is always the rule, but slice out 10 minutes, 15 minutes of your last act and get us the fuck out of it. And I know that's because we're like, we're always busy and we want to we've got to watch it for the podcast.
Just land this plane.
Exactly. This film dies a death in the last 20 minutes
and
or so.
The worst thing about it is like all of these different bits. I really liked the picking up from prison bit. I laughed at the pizza delivery guy being a strangler. That's a fun joke.
That was so good. That was so good.
And what's great about the thing about that joke, the wonderful thing about that joke is we don't see this. That's the only thing we get, and then they're done with it. And that's comedy.
You did see the end, obviously, where they see they have the pin up. They have the not pin up, the photo. What the police caricature? You know, they draw him.
Yeah, that's part. That's what big
pizza
guy.
Okay. That's how she gets her out of prison.
Yeah, I thought you said anyway. Correct.
Yeah. So but the good thing is because we don't have the scene where she says, "I know who the fucking serial killer is," and the police officer says, "That's not how prison works." I'm not going to let you go because you know what pizza place this guy works at.
You're not the CEO of Enron. We're not going to. There's no bargaining plea here.
But like that would have been a fine ending, and then like we're then fucking driving, we're racing to graduation, and like
the
trouble is that then the graduation scene's also quite good. Like in a vacuum, like the graduation scene is quite good, and I actually think that the last ending they have, where she's driving her to the airport, I think that's probably the one you should have gone with. But you should have had prison, driving, graduation gown, cut, airport, and then like you've immediately lost 10-15 minutes of this movie, and then you've kept your strongest ending. I think it's a writing thing where basically they filmed all of these and they liked all of them, so they used
they can't pick from the babies. Yeah,
I think you could have had if you had the prison thing, but like she got him out, but they're still falling out. You could have skipped that scene between those two, you know, we're at their parents' house and they're packing out. You could have skipped that, have the graduation, you know, and they sort of make up at the end of graduation. She decides to drop her off at the airport. You know, it's that bittersweet thing, friends at the end. That could have been much more tighter that way. And it's a way of still having most of those scenes, but just have it feel like satisfying. One of the things that really annoyed me about this movie, and this is actually the main crux of it for me, and it was the central point of them having this massive night out. And I haven't completely thought out this argument, but for me, I mean, like, you know, because manners, but for me, it felt a bit condescending towards kids, because the point is that they want to have this massive night out because they have worked all the way through high school. They've got massive grades. They've been doing it great, but all the other popular kids have done it as well, but they also had fun. Which the suggestion there is that they weren't enjoying their time during high school, but they seem to like enjoy each other's company. They enjoy the things they do. They have a passion for it. Their teachers love them, and they had fun with their teachers. But then there's this complete contrast where, like, I could have been doing this and having fun.
I think that's like
then you expand it. 1 second, Dave. 1 second, Dave. You expand on that then, because then you think, well, what do you think college is going to make? Because you're incredibly smart women. You're going to be going to college, university. You're going to be doing more of this. But if you are enjoying it, then you're going to enjoy it even more so because you're adults now and you can do more socializing. But if you haven't been enjoying that, the next 4 years aren't going to be enjoying yourself either. Like, what? This is what I mean. I don't know if it's that they haven't thought it through, or if they're, you know, basically not giving their audience enough credit, or they're just basically really speaking down to their audience. But that for me was a massive disconnect.
I see what you mean, Ross, but for me it kind of made sense as to like I kind of got the idea that like you're not having fun, right, is kind of like the thesis of this is like they feel that because the media portrays high school as this like a massive, you know, it's enormous, like endless orgy. Like every TV show about high school kids is essentially an endless orgy. So like you're conditioned as a child to be like, oh well, I haven't done high school right because I haven't been like at wild, amazing drugs and sex parties like every night.
Literal orgy, Dave, in high school.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that them saying like, oh, we need to go out and have this one night of debauchery is kind of the same as Superbad. As like, you know, I certainly wasn't cool in school. Can't speak for you two, but I think I know the answer. I like getting invited to loads of parties and stuff. So when I went to university, it's kind of like oh, I'm a bit of a loser. I don't have loads of friends, and I wasn't going to loads of parties and hanging out with the popular kids. And like
that thought never crossed my mind.
I was wrong. I'm an idiot. Right? Obviously, you were popular in school then, Ross. Great. I'm fucking happy for you, dickhead.
But the thought that I'm not cool never crossed my mind.
Right. Well,
I wasn't cool.
But I think that's a very real thing of like, you know, it's a part of growing up, isn't it? It's like Sam's being a 40-year-old man forever, but probably when he was a teenager felt, do you know what I mean? Felt that like drive. Oh, well, I've got to go to the pub with, you know, my friends. I've got to go. We went to nightclubs with Sam and stuff. Like, and obviously Sam wouldn't do that now. He literally just wouldn't do it.
Got to go whereas when he was with this younger, guy called Dave. I mean, I suppose I should.
When he was 19, he was like, "Oh, right. Well, this is something that young people do, and that's fun, right? Because not because it is fun, but because you're told it's fun, and you're told in such a way that it's not okay to enjoy yourself other ways. Do you know what I mean? So I think in 5 years these characters are like, oh, we had the best time in high school, but right now they're thinking we have missed out on a vital high school experience. Is kind of the whole basis of this movie.
Yeah, it's also a movie about growth, isn't it? Like that's what a lot of these teen movies are. Is like thematically you want to explore how these characters are going to grow and become adults, and like high school in theory shouldn't be something that you're just trudging through because you have to. It should be something that you actually enjoy.
No, that's the legal aspect of it.
Yep, 100%. I think to your point, if these kids leave high school, go to uni, like from my experience, it was like I didn't hate high school at all. The sixth form was a lot better than the actual high school bit, but like you start to then figure out who you are and who you want to be around. Like that's to me is the biggest thing of being comfortable and confident to say, actually, I don't really like you. Like
Actually, Dave, I don't want to go to that shitty underground nightclub in Carlisle on a Tuesday night. I don't care how cheap the drinks are. You know, that's what you mean. That's exactly that confidence, but you don't get.
That's generally what I love about just getting older. I just love people confident. I just beget to say no. What do you mean? No is a full sentence. Absolutely not. I'm not doing that. Like, and I don't give a shit what you think. Like, that is a superpower. That is an absolute superpower once you gain the experience.
Do you want to come to Timmy's leaving do? No, I don't like him. Oh, what do you mean? Well, what are you doing? Anything else? But
I might make up an excuse. I mean, it's great having kids. Sorry, the kids. Like I might do that to save someone's feelings, but really, I don't.
But I also want Timmy to know that I don't like him. No, I'm free.
Again, Ross,
I'm free.
You know who you are.
I think this is the difference. Is like the uber confidence of Ross, where he's always been this confident. No, what do you mean? I could have had a better time in high school. I had the best time. I'm the best, of course. I'm as happy as I could possibly be. This is it.
Prom king over there, Jesus Christ.
I know, apparently. But that's the kind of the id of this movie that I really, really enjoyed. Apart from it being really wholesome and like, you know, everyone's so happy and they like each other, and that's like a thing. You know, Superbad. In Superbad, they don't like each other. Like, you know, that's the core point of it. And whereas in this movie. In this movie, exactly, but like in this movie, they genuinely like each other and they like each other's company, and like in every scene where they aren't, you know, in danger, they're having fun. Like in the cab with the head teacher, which is I'm not getting in a cab with my head teacher, like not in a million years. No thanks. I'll wait for the
funny
next
joke
one.
though. It is a funny joke.
And like they're so comfortable with each other's company, they're just sat watching porn in the back of this cab.
Yeah, but they're also comfortable with each other. I love the the line is like, yeah, I'm really good at giving hand jobs, but I got into Harvard too. Like, that's a great. And again, it's a Gen Z thing, isn't it? Do you not think it's a Gen Z thing of like all of the shame about being good at anything, which we have channeled into this podcast is
shame.
Because I was shit at giving hand jobs, so like
excellent. Well done, Ross. You got you know where
that's why I had to come to university in England, Sam. Unis in Ireland are wild.
Yeah. But they're also comfortable in this, and I think it's a great thing to see. Wow, it's a great thing to see, like self-assured characters in the same way. And this reminded me of Sex Education, which is a good, fantastic TV show, one of the best TV shows of the last decade by a long way. And again, It's the same thing where everyone's absolutely fine with who they are. I mean, they're all also
totally unrealistic, but
they're all also completely lacking confidence, and they're all pretending. But there is a thing of like, hey, fuck you, I don't care. I'm going to wear this thing, or I'm going to be. And I think that is well represented in this movie as well, in a way that just, well, personally, and I think for a lot of people of our age, like you play fucking World of Warcraft. You should die. You deserve to die. Like, because you do anything that goes outside.
It's everyone is Jim from American Pie. You couldn't possibly admit to any faults. You know everything. You only do cool things. Like anyone asks you a question, you're like, "What? Why do you want to know? What?"
Yeah. You trying to attack me?
Yeah. Submit the paperwork. And then I'll look at the question.
To be fair, guys, I think what we're doing here is projecting our like the toxic masculinity from our childhoods. We're injecting it into reviewing this movie, and I think that's wrong. Like, I do think even like probably like young men do not feel the same way that we feel because of the environment in which we grew up. Do you know what I mean? Like that like
thing, isn't it?
What is this person saying to me?
I mean, it is also the foundation, I think, of our relationship, considering the adversary.
Attacking each other, yes.
Fuck you, Dave.
There was one thing I wanted to talk about that sort of like, I think largely this movie is kind of like, again, really inclusive and, you know, quite woke. I know the term woke is being killed, but I'm old, so I'm just.
No, we're reclaiming woke in a positive sense. Yes, it is woke. It is. Somebody's awake. Brilliant. That's good.
Cracking. And Ross even maybe. The one thing in this movie that I was like, did we have to do this? Was so like there's a really cool teacher, and there's the one thing of like, I like how the teachers are poor as fuck, because that's like a scathing indictment on the American education system where the teachers earn like less than minimum wage. But there's like several times in this movie where this teacher loses her job. Like, you cannot pick students up in the middle of the night when they've done drugs and then not take them home or to the hospital. Like, those are your two options, really. Like, and keep your job. And then I like this teacher character generally, although we googled it. She's 4 or 5 years older than the main characters.
She's our age, yeah,
because of the economics of television. But what bothered me was they established this one character who's like had to repeat a grade twice. So they've established earlier on in the movie that he's 20, and then him and the teacher have sex at the end, and I'm like, on the one hand, that's like, I can see why you would think that that's funny. On the other hand, like, that's kind of a problem. Like, even it's, you know, obviously legally it's two consenting adults, but legally it's also a teacher and a student, and there's kind of like
there's still a power dynamic. Yep.
There's a power dynamic, and like literally people go to prison for this. Like, it's funny, but it's not funny. And I think that if you reverse those genders, I think then you see it as you should see it. If this was a 30-year-old man having sex with a girl who was a student of his, then suddenly everyone's of course he should go to prison. Of course he's broken the law. But I think they try and sneak one by us a little bit in this, and I don't want to harp on it because it's not a big thing.
No.
It's just
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I was thinking this myself, and I don't know if there's an appropriate way to raise this, but I've noticed, like, with the two main characters and with these sort of teen movies, you know, traditionally, what's the goal? Do you know what I mean? Have a great time and to have sex. You know what I mean? That's what teenagers want to do, have sex. And, you know, 9 times, you know, most of the time, the boys succeed in the boy version of their movie. In this movie, you've got two characters, and they don't have sex. The closest they come to is one of the characters, the I can't remember her name, but the one who's gay. She ends up sort of like getting off, and then you have the thing where they drink the fag butt juice. But the only person then who successfully has sex is the boy, who manages, lo and behold, he pulls his hot teacher. And I think, you know, you have this where basically the two main characters, you know, they have to have a good time. And it's that sort of thing where it's like, you know, whose goal is to have sex? And it seems a bit archaic, where it's like, well, no, the women don't have sex because women don't want to have sex. Boys don't have sex with women. Women don't want to have sex with boys. And it seems that unconsciously they've like kept that archaic sort of thing in, where basically, like, on the one hand, one of the characters like, I give great hand jobs and I'm going to Harvard. Healthy sort of attitude towards your sexual sort of proclivities. But then the two main characters, no, they have to remain pure. They have to remain untouched. But someone's got to have sex. So the teacher has sex with one of the students.
Yeah, that's where I think this film is a Gen Y, it's a millennial movie dressed up as a Gen Z movie in a lot of ways. I mean, Olivia Wilde and the writers are all in their 30s, like they're basically millennials or close enough, you know, late 80s to early 80s, sorry, to 2000. So like, I think that it seeps through of like, as you say, Dave, if this was reversed, it feels a lot worse, and actually it is still very, very bad.
It feels like something a man would write, and that's a real negative point in this movie. That otherwise feels like a breath of fresh air because there are so few women writers. But it feels like a joke a man would write. You know that South Park thing where they're like,
it's nice. A South Park, nice. Ooh,
yeah. And there's always that like male thing of like, oh yeah, the hot sexy teacher had sex with her student, and isn't he lucky? I'm like, no.
Aren't you going to arrest her? Yeah, I'm going to arrest her because she wasn't around when I was a school kid. You're like, oh yeah,
exactly.
He's going to have some real long-term fucked up shit with sexuality. Goddamn.
And you just, do you know where this joke is exactly as funny? If she says, "Of course, I'm not going to fucking have sex with you. I like my job and not being in prison," and leaves. That is 10 times funnier than what they do in the movie.
It's also incongruous to the rest of the movie. This is the thing; it sticks out, and I think actually, if you know, at the end of the day, it's not completely heinous. It's not like it's a really. He's still he's an adult, isn't he? He's an adult. He's like 18.
It doesn't
has-
matter though, really.
Is what she says.
Like,
No, but
like,
listen, what I'm saying is,
it doesn't matter though, because she is a teacher in a position of care
right?
of students.
I'm not disputing that at all. What I'm saying is it's not a crime, right? And I think if the movie wanted to sell it, then the movie could sell it in a different way. And as much as there's a problem ethically and morally, there's also a problem with the fact that it just sticks out and it completely you're like, what?
I will say
that's what I mean when they say like, well, someone's got to have sex.
In this country, that is a crime. I don't know about America, but in this country, that is a crime, and you would go to prison for that.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, you might not get prison time, but you would be convicted.
I'm not disputing of it, clearly. To be clear, I'm not disputing the morality of it. It's wrong, 100% wrong. But I'm saying is the film is also just...
The film tries to sneak one by you because they say a couple of times, like, she goes, "You're 20, right?" And I'm like, it shouldn't make a fucking difference.
And
again,
also this character's a bit
it's
of an
unnecessary
character as well. Like why? This is always the thing. Is like, why the
she's apparently an educated, smart woman, and she's going for like this.
Why would you want to talk?
No offense, this doofus. Yeah.
Why would you want to have a single conversation with the teenager? Never mind do anything else. Why would you want to talk to the one? I mean, oh God, like there's just no reason. And I think it just sticks out in the movie in a weird way because, as you say, Dave, it sneaks on past us. That's a good way of describing
it. Yeah.
But
interesting how.
Go.
So we talked about it being a bit disgusting in the fag butt scene earlier, which is cigarette butt, we should say, I think, for international audiences. We just keep saying the F word.
Weird.
That didn't occurred to me.
It's a weird thing about it, isn't it? Yeah. Go on.
Yeah. But like in that scene, I think that I do like that scene. And do you know why I like it? Is because it's horrible to watch. You know, in a way that feels like, and this, I'm not suggesting this is anywhere on this level, but do you remember the In-Betweeners always had that like cringe humor of whenever there was a sex scene, it was awful and like no one knew what they were doing, like teenagers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like they capture that quite well in this scene. Like it's not sexy, which is good, because like it's funny. And then she's like,
realistic, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like embarrassing, and then she's sick on it, and it's like she's the next day, and we're never going to speak again. It's oh well, these things happen. It's fine. It's okay. Like, of course, yeah, you're a teenager. It's horrible, all horrible stuff.
Yeah. Last discussion point for me is like the positive relationship between the two main characters. I think Beanie. What's it called? Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dev, I think, do a really good job of number one playing teenagers. They both look pretty young, and the hair and makeup and clothes. They really sell it, and I think this is really good. But also, just it's like fun to see that like positive female friendship, between two girls and there's no, they're nerds, and they've got their own like backstory and universe, just like we do. When we make random jokes, and like it can be a reference from something or with something from that and they've got all that built in. I think that's a product of really, really smart, well sourced writing. This comes from somewhere, from the writers. This type of relationship, and all the little references and funny gags and all the little, Malala, all that. Like
the Harry Potter thing made me cringe quite like.
The what?
Visibly.
What happened?
The Harry Potter thing. So she's talking to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son, Cuba Gooding Jr. I wish.
Cuba Gooding the third.
Cuba Gooding Jr. Ross. It's very important you have the double junior for stupidity's sake.
It's a lot funny.
That'd be the real nepo baby name, wouldn't it? Cuba Gooding Jr.
See, there's a joke. Only funny to us because we have the exact same sense of humor. There we go.
Exactly.
Yep.
So she's talking to him, and he's like, your typical like cool guy. He's about 5 feet taller than everyone else in the movie, and it's his party. And she's like, this is Beanie Feldstein's character. She's like, "Oh, what Harry Potter house are you?" And this was like
yeah.
But like, your wife's really into Harry Potter, Ross. But like, again, not a teenager, so probably wouldn't be like, I'm a to a random person.
Oh, she absolutely fucking would. Yeah.
Great. We should get Amy in the room. She can explain this to me. because I was like, I am an arch nerd. I'll have a 4-hour conversation about one episode of Star Trek that was made in 1987. No problem. Absolutely no problem.
Previous episode.
Previous refer to all of our previous Star Trek episodes. But this for me was like, oh god, this is embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but also very something that you did as a teenager. You used like the pop culture that was in the zeitgeist. You used that to identify yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a way that when you're a grown adult, you don't really need that. You don't really need to be like, this is how I identify. I identify as this imaginary house from Harry Potter.
I think the problem is
I'm not saying every adult. I'm just saying me personally.
Yeah. I think we probably do still do that. But anyway, that's fine. That's beside the point. It's a damage. It's my problem. I'll deal with it. I think.
Which house from Harry Potter are you, Sam?
Is actually not a big Harry Potter. Never really engaged in Harry Potter. Star Wars, though, surprising. Of course, I'm a Star
Nicola's
Wars
a huge Harry Potter fan.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know.
I think your wife and Sam's wife will get along when you guys move together in your satellite house in Manchester.
Yeah, I'm coming down, Ross, aren't I? Oh no, you're sending them out.
Honestly, let's do it.
Let's buy you guys so much time if they like each other. Honestly, weeks and weeks and weeks. Do you multiply that over years? A family holiday in the summer.
Hey, I'm coming down tomorrow.
I'm just saying, guys. Like you've got an opportunity here to double your free time. Double it.
Anyway.
You could even not have sex if you chose to.
You're an animal. But it's good sound effects, good Foley work, but Jesus. Anyway, I feel this episode's slipping away from us. I think let's
away from us 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, let's.
We never had it.
Let's
wrap it up.
Let's get out of it. Let's
land this plane.
Anyway,
let's do final thoughts. Dave. I'm gonna come back to where we started. I'm gonna say, you know what? This is a massive, massive Dave movie. This is a huge Dave movie of monumental. But you know what? Every now and again, I think it's really fun to get into these like movies that you wouldn't necessarily turn on and experience because like we haven't watched teen movies. We haven't been the audience for teen movies in a long time, and I think it's nice to like go back and see. Oh. This is what teen movies are now. They're not disgusting and rapey. Like fantastic. That's great. I feel really good.
Oh my God, they've taken all the rape out. My God, the difference.
I feel really good.
Statutory rapey.
Oh yeah, there is that. Shit, it's still there. But that's the one thing we've identified as being the holdover from millennial movies.
Yes.
So it's. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this film, and it's a definite recommend and a good 8 thumbs up. From me.
It's the sort of movie that like the reason I suggested for the podcast is because I'm kind of like aware of it, but then also it's like you said, it's a Gen Z coming of age teen movie. I'm like, yes, it's a Dave movie. If it was from the 1990s, it would be like absolutely Dave's seen this 10 times. But it being so new, I was like, is it going to be loads of like Gen Z humor that I'm too old to get? Because that really is a thing that exists.
Oh, it's so weird. They're so weird. They're so.
What are they laughing at?
They're so absurdist.
No one's made a Simpsons joke in minutes.
Honestly.
So I wanted to watch it for this podcast because like I probably wouldn't have ever gotten round to it myself, being like, oh, do I want to watch this, or shall I watch Citizen Kane, or this, a never-ending list of Hitchcock films I've got to watch? I think I watched these. I watched Citizen Kane the day after this, and I watched that 50s movie the day before. So I watched 2 black and white movies sandwiched in this movie. So that should tell you where I am.
That's bleak. Ross, I'm not even going to address that point. Ross, what's your final thoughts on this?
I didn't expect to be as positive about this movie before this episode started. I was going to go in, boring, but the things that we raised and discussed, like it sounds like a really good movie. With its flaws, but still really good. But for some reason, I can't access that in my head. Like the specific.
I love the hammer,
but I can't access those memories in my head for some reason. I need to start watching movies earlier in the day. I think
No.
yeah.
Well,
404 movie not found.
I think you're right though. Look, we have it. We really did enjoy this. I really did enjoy this. But you're right. You're right to say that there's a lot of fucking flab. We talked about the flab. I think we should. I definitely. You've reminded me to say, fucking hell, edit your movie, please. Like, cut 15 minutes from this for the love of Christ. And then it is a 8 thumbs up. So now it's a 7. Thank you, Ross.
But it's also kind of a movie that, like, it's not really for us. I enjoyed it, but, like, you know, if I wasn't a person who had a movie podcast, I probably would have been quite bored by all of this because we are in our 30s, you know, and that's totally reasonable.
Yeah.
In 10 years, your son won't be far off the age these characters are supposed to be, you know? Exactly. So it's kind of like a, you know, we are all old as shit, but it's nice to have truth in movies. And that truth is never pick up a drink at a party that you haven't personally had hold of the entire
time.
Come
on, guys. Come on. These Gen Zs need to learn some lessons. Honestly.
Well, it's good to know that kids are still like using just drinks as ashtrays.
No, some things you can't learn from TikTok.
Some things don't change. Some things don't change.
Listen, I'm going to phone you at 10 o'clock, and if you don't answer, I'm going to come out and fight you. Listen to me. You will be at the point where I told you to. Otherwise, you're in serious trouble, young man. You understand? Thank you very much. God, I'm old.
Yeah.
So next week, which, because of how our recordings work, means tomorrow, we're going to be watching Drop Dead Gorgeous. Ross, this is going to destroy your brain. So I just want you to.
Is that really the next movie?
It is the next movie according to the list. We're going to record on Tuesday, I assume, which means today's Sunday, which means you've got one day to watch it, which means my goodness.
Wow. I motion that we move to Thursday. That seems to be the
Oh, don't start. We moved to Monday to accommodate you having to move your laptop from Thursday.
What I was going to say is, do we absolutely, like, right here, Ross, I think we still need another pick from you, and I think we'd said that we would have the Ross pick this week so that we didn't have 2 Dave teen movies back to back.
Have you got that email?
An opportunity here.
Can you send me that email, please?
What email?
I think that's so, Ross. I want you to after this go on Netflix, pick any movie, and we'll watch whatever the hell it is. Otherwise, we're watching Drop Dead Gorgeous. But you literally have 24 hours.
No, you have like 12 hours to tell us the movie, so I can watch it tomorrow.
Okay, no problem.
Get on with it. No problem.
So we'll be back next week with Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Fair and most likely accurate.
Good out. Nice. Bye.